A very good evening to you. Thanks for joining us on the Tuesday edition of the show. I'm Yemi Adebayo. Well, on the show tonight, quite a few things to talk about. Doesn't get bigger than the African Cup of Nations. We'll talk about it. The big teams not really doing what a lot of people expect them to do. We'll talk about them on the show. We will also spare a thought for things happening on the domestic scene. As we speak, the Bafana of South Africa in action. We'll try to update you with results as things go in that game. That's basically the outlook of the show. We'll also spend some time to take you to the camp of the Super Eagles, feel the pulse, what's happening with the Super Eagles. Well, it's a two-man show. My colleague Austin Okona-Akpan is suited and ready. And of course, we're taking this ride together.
What a greetings to you, Yemi, and of course everyone joining us on the show tonight. Action-packed World of Sports, the 34th edition of the Africa Cup of Nations, getting football followers on the continent and even those abroad talking. What a story. We are not done with the opening round of matches, Yemi, and we've seen beautiful goals. We've seen upsets. You know, I love upsets. And then we've seen that the small teams didn't come to respect the big teams, and that's a clear testament that football in Africa is getting competitive, and the development that we've been yearning for, we can see it. For instance, take a look at the Kosovo region. Mozambique, the Mambas were this close to upsetting Egypt that made it to the final. Superpower Egypt. Algeria could have beat Angola. And we saw today Namibia. I warned you guys, I told everyone, Namibia came out to show that they will not respect any team, and they went on to beat the Carthage Eagles of Tunisia by a single goal. I love the AFCON already.
All right. We're going to get into the AFCON, so let's just pause so you can enjoy the moment. We'll come back, go straight into talking about the Nations Cup. All right, we're into that segment where we go full-blown into the AFCON. First, let me introduce our guest in the Lagos studio. Kehinde Idris joins me. Kehinde Idris, first greetings to you. And I'm sure, like Austin, like myself, you're blown away by how the small teams in quotes have really thrown their weight around.
Yeah, good evening to you, Yemi. It's good to be here, and it's good to see you first time on the show for the year. Austin, also good evening. I've seen a lot of sags, but I think the one that has really caught my attention is AFCON of the underdogs. I think every team, quote and unquote, tagged, smaller team, underdog, have come to this AFCON to make a statement. And I think they are really doing that in fine fashion. And like Austin said, I'm loving the AFCON. There was a lot of buzz build up to Côte d'Ivoire 2023, being played in 2024. But I think right now, this buzz, the football, the games are now meeting up with the buzz build up to the AFCON. If this continues up until the end, I think the next AFCON in 2025 would even have better, attention from the outside world, not from Africa.
All right. So even imagine that we're going to get something that may be better than what we have. I mean, that's cause for joy. Let's quickly run through the results. Of course, we're not going to be alone. We're going to have someone else join us. We're going to have a robust conversation around the AFCON. But let's take a look at the results. That's what we want to do right about now. Very sure it's going to pop up on your screen. And at some point, I may probably have to go across. But let's see if we can give you the results. All started Group A, the host, Côte d'Ivoire, getting the job done against Guinea-Bissau, one of the two big teams that have been able to win their games. They, of course, defeated Guinea-Bissau 2-0. Nigeria, well, surprise, surprise, played a 1-1 draw with Equatorial Guinea, had to fight their way back into the game. The three-time African champions, not what they expected. Let's go to Group B, where we got the first upset. The Black Stars of Ghana, four-time champions, losing to Cape Verde. Didn't come to many as a surprise because Cape Verde that has been, ruffling up some teams in times past. Egypt needed late-minute penalty from their star man before they could draw level with Mozambique. We go to Group C, where, of course, genuine title contenders, the Teranga Lions of Senegal, beat Gambia 3-0, convincing 3-0 win for them. Cameroon couldn't beat 10-man Guinea. They had to claw their way back into the game. And so that's in Group C. Let's go to Group D, where you have Algeria playing a 1-1 draw with Angola. Burkina Faso held to Burkina Faso actually beating Mauritania last kick off the game, beating Mauritania 1-0. So these are the results. You also have, of course, Austin talked about that one. Namibia edging past the Carthage Eagles of Tunisia by a long goal. A lot of interesting results. Nobody could have written this that it could happen this way. This was what I'm talking about. And of course, the Bafana in action. We'll talk about that. What I'm told, Bada Akizade Johnson is on to us. Greetings to you. Bada, thanks for finding time to be with us on the show tonight.
Hi, good evening, Yemi. Happy New Year, everyone. Good evening, Austin, and good evening to your guests in the studio as well. It's a pleasure to be here at a special time in African football. Every 2 years when this competition comes around, we're treated to a feast of fantastic, fabulous football. And this one has not let us down in any way, shape, or form. There's been top quality action from the very first blast of the whistle up till now. And as it's already been said, our hope is that it carries on till the end of the competition, because the fear, the concern really is that drawing so many top quality talent from European leagues right in the middle of the season can have, a negative effect in that, you can't get a cohesive unit out there to play football. Most of these so-called top teams, virtually all their players play their trade abroad. So when they come in on the eve of the tournament, there's not enough training time. The football sometimes can be disjointed, can be difficult to watch, can be boring if we're being honest. But this particular edition has started like a house on fire, as we say. From the very first game, it's been all kinds of talking points, most of them positive ones, and there's been a few upsets here and there. So long may that continue.
All right, let me just go straight ahead. You can't be here with us and we'll talk about the Super Eagles. So first one for me before I yield to my colleague Austin, who's going to ask you a few questions as well. Your impression of the Super Eagles, what you make of that performance. Let me throw this at you. I had a few guys tell me that for once they weren't blaming the coach because it was obvious that we could have won that game if we took our chances.
Well, it's ifs, it's could have, it's should have, it's a lot of those. And unfortunately, when the final whistle blows, there's nothing you can do to affect the outcome of the game anymore. We had 90 minutes plus to have won that game. We created chances, as you said. But let's not be deceived. We played a team that conceded possession to us. Their game plan was very clear. They wanted to hit us on the break. They wanted to play for moments. They wanted to wait for their moments in the game and hope that they could make it count. And exactly that was what they did. When they stole in between the lines, I think Edu is his name, the number 6, got on the end of a fantastic cross from the left side in the box. Wasn't picked up. He picked his spot, bottom right-hand corner. Keeper had no chance to save it, 1-0. But the game before then and after then flowed only one way, towards the penalty box of the Equatorial Guineans. Unfortunately, we didn't take our chances. The only one we took was immediately after they struck. Victor Osimhen getting on the end of a fabulous cross from the left side of attack from Ademola Lookman, who looked our brightest star on the pitch on the day. The number one curious decision from the coach, and I hear you, a lot of people will say we didn't lose because of some of the head-scratching decisions that the coach made. But for me, I thought playing a double pivot against a team that wasn't going to have the ball against you. I didn't understand it. Why he played Al-Hassan Yusuf alongside Frank Oyeka, two players who he could argue that Al-Hassan was box to box, but he wasn't a creative player. He's not a creative player. And he did get into some promising positions where he proved that he's not a creative player. And we did miss Wilfred Ndidi, if we're being honest here, because over the last 24 months, I was making that point to Joseph Yobo on the live studio of that game, that in the last 24 months, Wilfred Ndidi has blossomed into one of Nigeria's most creative midfield players. If we had him on the pitch, it probably would have been a different story, but we didn't have him. And we still created enough chances to have won that game. Case in point, 75th minute, Victor Osimhen played through on goal by Alex Iwobi. You would have put everything you own in the world on Victor Osimhen scoring that. But the best of footballers do miss chances sometimes. The Messis, the Ronaldos, they miss glaring chances sometimes. This time, maybe it cost us 2 points in the game. But overall, it wasn't like a dominant, cohesive, super watchable, super enjoyable kind of game by the Super Eagles. Most of the times, we just worked it wide. It was the same formula all the time. Work it to the wide areas where Lookman and Simon Moses were hugging the lines most of the time, looking to put balls into the box. And teams can figure you out very easily that way. They play two men against you. The fullbacks weren't really bombing up as much as I wanted. The few times they did it, Zaidu Sanusi got on the end of had two opportunities fall for him that he could have taken, but he applied the wrong finish. And that's to tell you that, when you play wing backs against fullbacks, the wing backs know that they're going to arrive in positions where they might be expected to finish. You saw Ike Nouri of Wolves play for Algeria yesterday. He looked every inch an attacking midfielder playing from defense. But our fullbacks, Olaino, on one occasion went forward, could have squared it, went for goal, goalkeeper blocked it. So what do I make of it? I thought it was a disjointed performance, even though we had enough opportunities to have won it. But that was simply because the Equatorial Guineans executed a game plan that conceded possession to us a lot in that game. They didn't want the ball. They wanted us to try and break them down, wait for their chances, wait for their moments. And yeah, if you ask their coach, he would argue that he's executed a fantastic game plan. But against a better team, against a more cohesive team, they could have been badly exposed. And they should have been beaten in that game and beaten very well.
See, Bada, good to have you. Stay with us, I hear you. But let me go to Kehinde Idris in Lagos. Kehinde Idris, let's still stay with that midfield. Bada made a very important point that it was a faulty decision to play Frank Oyeka and Al-Hassan Yusuf. But Al-Hassan Yusuf showed some brilliances that we've not seen in the past in the midfield. Now, what do you think was the problem from that midfield, or that there was no cohesion from defense to midfield?
I think cohesion was the issue. I was breaking down, the selection from the goalkeeper, Nwabali, with the defense line. You need proper cohesion, goalkeeper and defense line. How do they understand each other? What's the synergy? I'm very sure they don't have synergy because they've not played games together. Then even the back line, Zaidu Sanusi, Shemi Ajayi, Trust Ekong, and then you have Olaino. All four, when was the last time they played together? You can say they played at different points, but building up to the AFCON, this is the biggest football mundial in Africa. Building up to this, I think you should have even better understanding of your back four. See, a back four is one of those, setup that anybody in the world should be able to predict. You don't care whether they are able to predict it. You know what they will give you. Is it not Nigeria? This is the back four they will go with. Even we Nigerians were shocked when we saw the back four. Especially Shemi Ajayi and Trust Ekong. It was ununderstandable for all of us. And then you go to the midfield. Frank Oyeka, Al-Hassan Yusuf never played together. And then Iwobi, being the pivot right there is... it was everywhere. It seemed like a team who had 1, 2, 3, moments of training together. And we hoped, coming from the coach now, that they would just gel on match day. If you go by the last AFCON, Equatorial Guinea were tagged giant killers. And they continued that way. I totally agree with what Bada said, but trust me, the Equatorial Guineans knew what they were doing. They caught us up and gave us half chances almost every time, except for, moments of brilliance. This is the Nigerian national team, the Super Eagles. We have players who can do some of those things we did. But most of the time in that game, we had possession, but just had half chances to do whatever we can do. So we kept going round and round around the edges of the box, and we couldn't penetrate, properly the way we would have. And then we had array of attacks. I felt a 4-4-2 would have worked for me, because we had, numbers of attack where Victor Osimhen being pivotal, and then you have Moses Dadi Simon and Ademola Lookman being supporting strikers. I felt if we had a 4-4-2, there are 2 men up front, and then there are 2 others. That means we'll be having 4 options attacking. So it didn't happen that way. But I think number one thing is the fact that for all of the team, I think synergy was our biggest problem. And if we go into the second game, still having, signs of the team not properly cohesive the way we want. I think that a Cote d'Ivoire team would expose that. Guinea saw that. The midfield wasn't it. Trust me, I didn't see that midfield, being what we wanted to. As much as 1 or 2 individual brilliance, this is a teamwork. We should see, better team cohesion.
Yeah, that's it. That's what we've been, asking for in this team. We'll soon get to listen to Super Eagles players' comments about that game. But let's go to Bada. Bada, you gave Equatorial Guinea their respect. I also said before the start of the competition that while you're looking at Nigeria, you're not studying other teams. Equatorial Guinea is a compact team. And if you check the ball possession, you could tell that they also took the game to Nigeria. Now, Equatorial Guinea made it to the quarterfinals at the last edition. Nigeria left in the round of 16. So if you want to rank it by AFCON, they're not a small team. But let's also give the Super Eagles their flowers. They had shots on target, goalkeeper Jesus Owono. Nobody's talking about his performance on the day. He made good saves for Equatorial Guinea. Equatorial Guinea had just 1 shot on goal, and they scored. Bada, sincerely, were the Super Eagles unlucky?
No, they were not. You said Equatorial Guinea had 1 chance and they scored. They gave our keeper absolutely no chance to save it. When you play the ball close to the keeper, when you don't apply the right finish, you give the keeper a chance. There are ways. I mean, why didn't he save Osimhen's header? It was simply unsavable. So if we had created 3 or 4 of those opportunities, we would have scored. If you look at the game Senegal played, there was no chance in the world that the opposition goalkeeper would have pulled saves because the ball was kept far from his reach. So as the studio guest already said, you see, we created half chances. We rushed shots sometimes when a bit more calmness and composure would have helped us. A case in point, and surprisingly, Victor Osimhen. I mean, if you wanted that chance to fall to any Nigerian who would finish, I'm sure 213 million Nigerians would have voted for the chance to fall to Victor Osimhen. And it did fall to Osimhen. Unfortunately, he couldn't finish because he went for a near post finish when there were acres of space to the far post. He was giving the goalkeeper the eye, but the angle on the near post was too acute. So, there was just a general lack of composure, of calmness, in the final balls and in the finishing. So you can't put that down to lack of luck. If the balls were hitting the crossbar, hitting the upright and not going in, you can say, oh, maybe in trying to keep it as far away from the goalkeeper as possible, you got unlucky.
All right.
But a lot of those saves the goalkeeper made.
But I might have to. Sorry, I might have to butt in. Because we need to go on a break right about now. But of course, we'll let you continue with your train of thoughts when we return. This just let our viewers know that when we return from this break, we're about to go on. Our program, Inside Niger Delta, will be on the DSTV platform, but Sports Tonight will be on all other platforms. So you can be with us as we dissect what's going on at the Nations Cup. We'll go for that break. We'll come back. We're still on the Africa Cup of Nations.
All the moments is a special competition. Is my dream or my goal is to play this competition but I am quiet with calm, tranquility. It's possible some nervous when start the match. After that, everything will go well because Nigeria create expectation. Our shirt is heavy, not like the other shirts. It's 220 million person. The people like to win, need some happiness in the life, and they push us a lot. It's okay if you can manage. It's okay. Sometimes these players, the big level, too much responsibility, too much stress, more than everybody think. He feel more stressed than the others because the expectation. The best player in Africa, he helped put the title in Naples with him, the goals. And now he had pressure.
We are playing against hosting countries, so I think it's going to be a little bit difficult. Playing against hosting country, their fans and everything, but I think our players, they know what's at stake. They have played so many teams outside their club. They have gone to away games where the stadium is full and everything, so I think this is a small challenge for us, but we just need to work hard and focus, so I think everything will work out.
Of course, after the result we had against Equatorial Guinea, we want to go and make sure we put things right. It's not going to be easy because Ivory Coast are the host and they started off very well. But I'm sure we have a game plan and hopefully the game plan will be able to work. Yeah, of course, it's sad. I mean, you want to play in the biggest games. And of course, to play in a game against Liverpool, I would like to be involved. But at the same time, I'm happy to represent my country and they're wishing me well and I'm wishing them well as well.
To win the AFCON, that is the motivation in the team. Nothing's changed. We're still very much focused. And I believe we can get a good result against Ivory Coast.
All right, welcome back. As long as there's a conversation going on in the studio, unfortunately, I can't let you in on that. All right, Barakizade Johnson is still with us. Let me allow you to continue from where you were before we went on that break. And at this, that was the conversation we were having. If you wanted to make changes from the Eagle squad that you know that's in Cote d'Ivoire, is there any other player or players better than those that were on display in our opening games? So just factor that into what you were going to say.
So I think in terms of personnel, there wasn't much wrong. But in terms of system, there was quite a lot of head-scratching, decisions, as I said. So I already mentioned two defensive midfielders, two naturally defensive-minded midfielders in a game where you knew you were going to have all of the ball. It was not necessary. I also agree with the studio guest in terms of playing two up top. Most of our best work over recent and past history have always come down the flanks. We've produced some of the best wingers African football has ever seen. The Amunikis, the Finidis, the Babangidas, and the Laos and co. And we continue to produce great wingers. So why not, as you're working the ball wide, why not give those guys a bit more options to hit in the box? You have midfielders arriving late in the box. My philosophy has always been, if you put enough balls in the box, there will be mistakes. There will be rebounds, lucky rebounds that come your way. There could be own goals, Case in point, the Egyptians really didn't, apart from their first goal, they didn't really trouble the opposition as much the other day against Mozambique, I think. But because they kept loading the box, the Mozambicans were forced into a late error where their defender erratically, in trying to clear the ball, cleared the man and gave away a penalty. And those are the kinds of opportunities that you profit from when you put the ball in the box and you have bodies in the box. We never had enough bodies in the box. We're always crossing the ball when the opposition was set and they could easily clear. So those are the sort of things that you have to change in terms of crossing the ball early, ensuring that the box has bodies in there to profit from those crosses. But we're not going to play through the middle because gone are the days when we used to have the Okochas and the Ulises who could pick a pass, who could thread the eye of a needle. Yeah, Iwobi did it once to set Osimhen through one-on-one, but it was because the game was super stretched at that point. The opposition committed men forward. But when we're playing against a low block, we do not have midfielders who are creative enough, inventive enough to pick passes through bodies So most of our opportunities are going to come from the flanks. So, and whether it's Chukwueze or Simon Moses or Ademola Lookman, it really doesn't matter. These guys, each of them are, if not outrightly world-class, they are above average in terms of quality and should be able to get decent crosses into the box. What then happens if you have just Victor Osimhen by himself? The defenders, two central defenders, can definitely do a job on him. But when you have another striker, their combined movement in different directions, pulling them apart, will either create opportunities for themselves or create opportunities for other people in the box. So we've got to go with two up top. Against Cote d'Ivoire, unfortunately, they're notches above the last opposition we played. They're a top quality team with great personnel as ourselves. So how does it set up? That's going to be key. If you want to set up to defend against them, I'm sorry, we may be hurt, because as it has been rightly said again, we have unfamiliar bedfellows all over the place in defense. And your ability to defend as a team comes from understanding chemistry built over time. So you might be looking at maybe bringing back an Omeruo, for instance, for his experience, maybe side by side with Troost Ekong. At least those guys have played together in the past. You need a central defensive pairing that has that coordination and chemistry and understanding that gives confidence to a brand new goalkeeper who's making his debut at the biggest competition on the African continent. And then your fullbacks can now be given the freedom to bump forward and create more options in those wide areas where there are two defenders against weakness. Yeah.
We'll see. It's a very pretty tight game for the Super Eagles, but we'll see how they are going to approach it. The game between South Africa and Mali, ongoing, 31 minutes already played. In the 19th minute, the Bafana were awarded a penalty. Star boy for South Africa, Percy Tau, stepped up to it. You know what? He sent it to the crowd. So it's still South Africa 0, Mali 0. Let's listen to Victor Osimhen. He's been speaking right after that match against Equatorial Guinea.
First of all, I am not the kind of player that falls under pressure. When you try to achieve something big in your life, even as a man or as a football player, a lot is being expected of you when you aim high. So of course I've aimed high all my life while growing up, and this pressure comes naturally. Not that people aim at me to give me this pressure. So I'm the kind of person I don't fold under pressure. It's never my thing to fold under pressure. As the pressure comes, I take it into my heart and into my head to try to give my best and do so well for myself. And so far so good. I've been doing so well for myself, for my club, and for my country, which I feel like is the most important thing. To win the African Footballer Player of the Year is just a mere dream of every African young player aspiring to be great in terms of football. So for me to have won it, it shows the kind of things that I've put in, the hard work, the sweat, the tears, and everything like that. So for me, it's really a dream come true.
So that's the message. He said no pressure. Kende Idris everywhere. Whenever you talk about the Super Eagles of Nigeria, one name that pops up is Victor Osimhen. Victor Osimhen, is the pressure getting to him?
I doubt. From what the man said, I would believe that, and I would take that to the bank. One thing I just want to say is Victor Osimhen, the talks, or you can call it criticism, is not coming from the angle of hate or some persons are beginning to get too emotional. It's the fact that so many times you're a victim of your own standards. The reason why we feel, Victor Osimhen, why is this not happening this way? It's because we know what you can do. Some players will be there and you will hear Nigerians say, we know, this one will miss it. And we want to see better showing from a player like that. Like Bada said, 213 million Nigerians would have paid anything to say, if there is anybody that will get such ball, it should be Victor Osimhen. And it happened like twice. And, if you have Nigerians talking that way, we love you. That's why we are, speaking, because we know what you can do. And we hope that subsequent games will see you do that. But I love the fact that he, as a person, is saying these pressures don't get to me. The only thing I do, I rise above them, prove to you that I can do it, and we want to see you prove to us that you can do it, and we know you will do it. So Victor Osimhen is on the lips of everybody, and hopefully he got our first goal of the competition, and hopefully we'll still get more goals for us to get El Dorado in this competition.
All right, let's move on the show. Well, a lot of ground to cover, and I mean, if we stay with the Super Eagles, we'll probably spend the whole time talking about the Super Eagles. But let's move on and we talk about giant killing, giant slaying. So let's just go there now and talk about Cape Verde. What they were able to do, and the reports coming from the camp of the Ghanaians. Some funny stories all around, but of course, Cape Verde doing the job on Ghana. Let's quickly listen to the guys from Cape Verde talking after winning that game against Ghana. And then, of course, we'll get the thoughts of Kade Idris and Bada on how surprised they are to see that happening to the Black Stars, especially how with some of the changes they've made to the back room, but, of course, history repeating itself at the AFCON.
After the game, I think for everybody, like amazing feeling. Everybody's so proud. Like we play against a big country with amazing players, and to get a good result is an amazing feeling. So we are very happy. So I hope we continue like this. We just need to focus on the game, and we are going for every game to win. So just focus on ourselves and give all what we have, and belief. I think belief is the most important thing, and I think the whole group believe. Like Friday is the next game, and we believe that we're gonna win that game too.
It's hard to put into words. It's probably something that I didn't look into for a large part of my life, but ever since I got this call up, it's something that I can't get enough of. Like every time I meet up with this squad and we travel down to Cape Verde or other parts of the world, I learn more, and I'm just eager to learn more. And it's a really great feeling in this group what we have. Like from day one since I came in here, everyone accepted me and made me feel welcome, and each time I feel more and more like a true Cape Verdean. I think, look, we're not here by chance. We're here on merit, like, and we've earned our place here. That's what we told ourselves last night. Like, and look, no matter who we come up against, we have to respect them. Whether they're a top nation or maybe one of the small nations like ourselves, you have to respect them because they got here on merit, and we're just looking forward to showing what we can do.
All right. Of course, reactions from the guys from Cape Verde. Kade Idris, want to get reactions from you and Bada, but you first. Quick one if you can. Yeah. We're pressed for time. Are you surprised?
I think I'm not surprised from the qualifiers and also the last AFCON before this one. I think the Cape Verdeans have gotten to a point where they understand what they need to do. They know what, especially against the big teams, and they are doing that. And in the process of doing that, they're also playing some sublime football. And I love that for them. See, you unsettle the big boys, and then when the ball falls to you, you play some sweet football to rock their, to ruffle their feathers. And they said it. We got here on merit. It wasn't a case of, we struggle and all of that. We got here, and we need to prove that, and they are proving that. So, good one. Not surprised about what Cape Verde is doing. Maybe some other teams are surprising me now.
All right, let me just quickly go across and talk about tomorrow. I'm going to get Bada's thoughts on that as we try to wrap up this segment on the AFCON. And, of course, tomorrow's fixtures. Of course, you can't say much about the team until they play their first game in the tournament. Atlas Lions of Morocco up against Tanzania. DR Congo up against Zambia. I mean, 3 former winners in this group. So there you have it. Morocco up against Tanzania, DR Congo against Zambia. All right, let me quickly go to Bada. Before we let you go, kindly speak to this. These 2 games you have on your screen will be played tomorrow. Your thoughts ahead of these matches?
I think maybe the most talked about team coming into this tournament, apart from the holder Senegal, would have to be Morocco for obvious reasons. They finished in 4th place at the FIFA World Cup, the last one. And on the back of that, some of their players have gone on to bigger things. Amrabat, for instance, on the back of such an impressive performance at the World Cup, signed for Manchester United, turns out in the red week in, week out now. So expect that expectations globally, more so in North Africa, is that the Moroccans will have the Tanzanians for lunch. But if there's anything that this competition has taught us so far, it is that they'll have to earn the points on the day. Morocco does have the quality. They've got the players. They've got the stability as well. And that's one of the reasons why some of these big, so-called big African teams are not playing up to their potentials. There's just so much of chopping and changing going on, too many disruptions to playing personnel, to the administrators, the coordinators of the team. But it's not the same. Morocco is probably the most stable and the best organized team on the African continent on and off the pitch. So I don't expect surprises there. I think that they would go and get an easy win against Tanzania. The other game, Congo DR against Zambia, would be very feisty, very physical, very robust in terms of the playing style. The Zambians are quick. They play physical game. They're quick in transition, and they can finish. They were some of the teams I enjoyed the most in qualifying. They electrify the place. Their wingers are very good, and of course they've got the Leicester man in I can't remember his name now in attack, who's been lethal for them. He's got a phenomenal scoring record for the Copper Bullets of Zambia. So the Congo DR team, we know what they bring. Color. I expect a lot of colorful hairstyles, a lot of color on the jerseys as well. And they've always been consistent. They play a robust pattern. They were very physical. They were very difficult to break down, and they play some good stuff. So the football on show will be top quality. But if I were to call the two games, I'll give the first one to Morocco. And the second one, I've seen it enough of the Zambians to think that they're just a bit better in terms of overall quality than the Congo DR team. And I do expect that they will win that game.
All right, that's a good place to leave it. Barakere Johnson, I want to thank you for your time on the show today. Hopefully, we'll do this again some other time.
Thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure.
All right. Of course, that brings us to the end of the AFCON segment. We'll pause, and of course, you see us on the other side. All right, so we're done with the African Cup of Nations. Of course, you expect us to do this a lot of the time. But let's spend a few minutes we have left to talk about what's happening at home. But before we come home, let's talk about the biggest piece of news from today. One of the most talked about managers in professional football, Jose Mourinho, has been sacked as the coach of Roma, the Italian Serie A club. And of course, they brought back the legend, Daniel De Rossi, to, of course, manage the club. Let me yield the floor to my colleague, Austin Okola-Ekman. Did this come as a surprise? Some people, or let me just say, stories from the rumor mill, that probably Jose just wanted to get sacked. And he's been complaining to the heavens, and no surprise that this happened.
I'm surprised, because I thought he was doing something at Roma. It's just something about having Jose Mourinho, by your corner. It's not just about, managing players. It's about the club. It's about media mentions. It's about the business opportunities that Jose Mourinho can bring to your team and all of that. And when I hear people say he wanted to be sacked, this is a big manager. If he's tired of being with Roma, I don't think Jose Mourinho cannot just come out and say, "Oh, I'm done, I'm leaving." How much would the money be in his clause if he gets sacked, that he'll be waiting to get sacked? And that's not good for your record. If Jose Mourinho is sacked by Manchester United or Manchester City or even a big club as Real Madrid and Barca, we can understand, not Roma. But hey, this is a coach that almost everywhere he has gone to, he wins trophies. Roma will be, they will be proud of the achievements that he has brought to the club. We always say that coaches are hired to be fired, but this one surprises me because no one saw it coming. Yes, they will not get to the sort of results, but this is a big-time manager where he can just, turn things around, and all you just need to do is probably give him a cup final, and Roma will be winning, maybe the Coppa Italia again, or they get to the Conference League and he's winning again, or even the Europa. So you don't let go of this big-time manager. And just to let you know how important he is, since this sack was announced, Newcastle fans, they can't sleep. Everyone is saying, majority of the fans are saying, Jose Mourinho should come take over the job at Newcastle. Some people are saying, even Manchester United, if Eric Ten Hag gets tired, now Jose Mourinho should go back. Chelsea fans are saying, oh, Poch is not the kind of coach we want to lead our team. Bring back Jose Mourinho. That tells you the sort of manager that Jose Mourinho is, Yemi.
Yeah, I agree with you. Was he asking for too much? Because this season started and Jose was saying, look, you're not supporting me, you're not backing me, I can't do more than what I'm doing.
I think sometimes when you get a manager like Jose Mourinho, just like when you get some kind of players, you should understand they come with a baggage. And you should be very prepared to be able to soak up,
So they should have accommodated.
Because the first season, they won the Europa Conference. Second season, they got to the Europa Cup final. In the third season, it's not like Roma is so much in a bad place. I think this came to me as a shocker because Mourinho has turned the entire mentality of an average Roma fan, not to talk of the players around. I think they now feel like winners. They feel like contenders. And I think that is what Jose Mourinho brings to the table. He was mentioning clubs. Some even said, Arsenal needs a coach like Jose Mourinho to turn around their mentality.
No, let's not go there.
They need a coach to turn around their mentality.
That's too
And I think Jose can do that for Arsenal.
I wish we were not on set when you brought that up. All right. Our party shot tonight is going to be, of course, the Nigeria Premier Football League, the results over the weekend. What we want to quickly look at. Let's see if we can pop up on the screen. We just reel it out. We may not be able to talk much about it because, of course, we're out of time. That's just the case. But let me just go across and run through this and see if I can get comments. The much talked about Southwest Derby, Sporting Lagos, and 3SC ended 2-2. Bayelsa United defeated Bendel United. Bendel Insurance 2-0. Casina United defeated Remo Stars 2-0. Lobby Stars and Kano Pillars played a 1-1 draw. Match 18. Match day 18 results, what we're looking at. So those are some of the results. You have some of the results. Abia Warriors beating Doma United 3-0. Rangers hit Gombe 4-1. Sunshine Stars played a goalless draw with Tornado. Plateau United, of course, defeated the almighty Bayer Elephants 1-0. All right. I guess this is how the cookie crumbles. But Austin still has about 30 seconds to say 3 or 2 before we wrap it up. Yeah. Match day 18 results, Austin.
And I'm going to say congratulations to Plateau United. What a story. I talked about them just before, we got into action for match day 18. 3 days before that match, they defeated Rivers United, fought hard to win 3-2, and then they went on to beat Eimba. That's a team that, is trying to tell us something. And the game between Aqua United and Rivers United that was rescheduled for today has been played. Rivers United won that one by 2-1. That's not a good way for me to leave the show, but that's the show. In London, I'm Austin Okonakwan. In everything you do, remember to keep talking sports. Bye for now.
All right. I'm not going to laugh at Austin's comments. I won't. All right, can you do this? I want to thank you for your time on the show today.
Yeah.
Stop laughing. We'll do this again some other time.
Of course, we'll do this. And the MPFL is giving us. We'll love it.
All right. That's the show. Thank you for allowing us into your homes without knocking on the door. It's a privilege we will never take for granted. We'll do this again tomorrow. I'm Yemi Adebayo. Bye-bye now.